challenges God to appear with him face to face. I mean, he's just going through all of this, and you can understand his anguish not knowing what's going on, why it's happening. Brothers and sisters, we have so much more truth available to us today than Job ever had. So much more. But here was a man who had very little compared to what we have, but he stood true to God. Job chapter 19, verses 25 and 26. Job is going back and forth. He says, I know that my Redeemer lives. I know that my Redeemer lives, and he shall stand at last on the earth, and after my skin is destroyed, this I know, that in my flesh I will see God. Job knew God at heart, and he knew that he would see God again. In chapter, tell you what, our time is up. There's a little bit left on this, but just to kind of summarize it. In chapter 38 to 41, God appears to Job and unfolds his omniscience. God did appear to him, and unfolds his omniscience, his omnipresence, his immutability, as shown in creation, celestial and terrestrial. God asked Job questions that reveal his utter ignorance, incompetence, frailty, and sin. In other words, God allows Job to realize just what he is. And that's true of each one of us. It's true of each one of us. We have so little grasp of the entire spectrum that God is working in and what God is doing. We have such a small understanding of it, and therefore in many cases small appreciation of it. But God came to Job and he said, now Job, I'm going to ask you some questions and you answer me. And Job came back and said, I bow myself. He said, and he looked down at himself. He said, God, he said, I'm a frail human being. I'm a sinner. Again, Job was not being punished for what he had done. But Job needed to learn how great God was. And we need to understand how great God is. And Job needed to understand that God was working for his purpose, working to accomplish his purpose. And Job was part of that. When we go through difficulties or good times, we understand that God is doing, in essence, the same thing with us. God's purpose is to conform us to the image of the Lord Jesus Christ. Conform us to the image of his Son. So God continues to work and work. Thank God, brothers and sisters, that he does. That he doesn't just leave us and say, go your way, I'm done with you. We have a wonderful, wonderful God, a gracious God. And then in the last few verses of the book of Job, we see that God forgave him for those thoughts that he had had concerning God and for things that he had said when he just felt that he had a reason to be